Hi guys, today we are gonna make a third person character that can walk around, crouch, jump. We can add some combat later. All I have in the scene is this model. It is empty, and I have a Cinemachine free look camera. Now let's start by adding a capsule collider. Let's center it by 1, give it a 0.4 and 2 of the height. Let's add the rigid body. Let's give it a mass of 60. Let's freeze the constraints by the XYZ on the rotation. Put the Y also. I have forgot to put it when I am recording. Like the last video, I am recording the audio after the video. So now we will make the script. You can call it whatever you want. I will just call it Night Guy. I found it funny. Let's make an animator controller to apply to our model. Call it Night Guy as well. Just wait for the editor to compile. Now open up the animator controller. The first thing we will do is to add a blend tree. Call it Locomotion. And open it, name it as well Locomotion. Rename the blend parameter to something like speed. You can name it whatever you want. Now add 3 motion fields and go for your animations. This is Unity Animation Locomotion Pack. It is free in the asset store. I will just drag the idle, walk, natural face, and run natural face. Drag the idle, then the walk, then the run at the last. For now, our animator controller is complete. For now. Now let's open up our script. First assign the animator, Night Guy, to the Night Guy model and make it animate physics and enable RootMotion. Enable our script. Prepare it for editing. Let's start by grabbing our animator. Call it animator, and in the start method our animator equals get component of type animator. Get component is a method called to get the component on the game object the script is sitting on. Let's make our input. Let's make a vector to call it input or anything. Set it equal to a new vector2 in the x. Put input.getAxis row horizontal. In the y, input.getAxis row vertical. The difference between getAxis and getAxis row, getAxis has some smoothing, but getAxis row just snaps to the max and min value. We will add smoothing later. Let's make a boolean to determine whether or not we are running. It will be equals input.get button jump. Sorry, it is run, not jump. This is a button I have prepared in my input settings in the Unity editor. I have named it run and set it equal to left shift. Now let's make a float to determine our animation speed. Set it equal to running. If we are running, it will be equal to 1. Otherwise, it will be equal to 0.5. multiplied by the magnitude of our input, and we have normalized it because if we move diagonally it will stay at 1. If there is no input, its magnitude will be 0, which means our animation speed will be 0, which means we will be idling. Now set the animator to that animation speed float and make a smoothing float, public one, so we can tweak it later for the inspector if we want. Let's make another one for turning. Turn smooth and turn velocity. Here apply the third parameter turn smooth and the fourth one time the delta time. Now let's go to the input section. We need to change our rotation, we need to change our rotation if there is any input. So if our input vector is not equal to vector 0, if there is input, then we need to rotate in the direction of our input. So we will make a float target rotation equals mathf.8 and 2. This allows us to input our horizontal and vertical axes, and it will get the rotation towards our input direction, but it will be by radians, so we need to multiply it by mathf.radians to degrees. And now we will set our transform.Euler angles to be equal to vector3.up means 0, 1, 0, and multiply it by mathf.smooth we will be smoothing our current transform.Euler angles.y towards our target rotation, followed by ref, our velocity. This does not have to have a value, we just feed it in. It makes use of it in its calculations, and insert our turn smoothing. Now our rotation is complete. Let's tidy things up a little. Input section, rotation section, animator section. Now we need back to the Unity editor and wait for it to compile. Let's give it a small test. Let me make this bigger for you. Now hit play. Here we can rotate around our input direction and walk around. You will notice that we can't run because I have named the button wrongly. It is run, not jump. Sorry for that. I'm now searching for the problem. Now in the input section of the project settings, you see our horizontal and vertical axes that we call them, and our run button, and another one for crouch is C. There is other one for jump. Now he will be able to walk, run, idle, turn, all of that. I will be adding more features in this video. Now I am adding a stealth, or crouch at 2 blend trees, blend tree for crouching and one for standing. Add 3 motion fields as before, idle, walk, run, to Unity's animation pack. Select this, drag idle, then walk in the middle, then run at the bottom. Now to the crouching animations, we need a float to determine whether or not we are standing or crouching. Call it move ID, and the main locomotion blend tree will be based on that move ID. Now go to crouch, add 2 animations, one for crouch idle and one for crouch walk. I have used some animations from Invictor's pack or template. It is really awesome. So here, if we are walking, it will be 0.5. So if it is 1, if the walk threshold is 1, it will behave weirdly, but we need to set it to 0.5. So if we are run or walk, it will be nice. Now back to the script. Let's add a stealth section. Simply init call some kind of stealth method or function, whatever. Down here, let's create it, void stealth. It will take no parameters. What we want to do in this, we will use C to crouch and stand. So if input the good button down, crouch, this is a button I have set up, it is a C button. If we have pressed down the C, let's make a boolean is crouching. It is just a public one for debugging purposes. If you wanted a private one, you are free. Now if is crouching is true, let's make a float variable, call it move ID, to control our move ID in the animator move ID parameter. It will be 1 by default because we will need to start our game standing, not crouching, then stand. I will have it in arrange because it is nice. So if we have pressed C and we were already crouching, so we need to stand up, so we'll set the move ID to 1 and set is crouching to false. Else we have pressed C and is crouching is false, we need to crouch. So we will set the move ID to 0 and set is crouching to true. And now we need to set the float move ID to our move ID by our speed smooth. Now let's try it. Wait for it to compile. This is really annoying. So hit play. Now you can see we can walk and run and turn. Now when we press the button C, we will crouch, press it again, we will stand, crouch, stand, blah 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 blah. Now the crouch walk is a little bit slow, so I will increase its speed. We have our inputs. Now let's add jumping. Or not now. I want the character to turn around in the direction that the camera is pointing towards. That is a really cool rotation way. So get a reference to our camera's transform. Camera transform equals camera.main.transform. Remember, camera.main is the camera tagged as main camera. So in our rotation calculations, we need to add our camera transform.UllerAngles.y, and in here to the jump section, simply call jump method init. And in order to jump, we need two things: a rigid body to change its velocity so we can actually jump, and the capsule collider to determine whether or not we are grounded. So we can't jump just infinitely in the air, jump like million times. We need to jump if we were on the ground. So here, call jump method, go down and create it, void jump, take no parameters. What I wanna do, if I pressed spacebar, which is a button I have set up called jump, so if get button down jump, and it needs to be down, not get button. If you press get button, he will fly, not jump. So we need to determine our velocity that we need to reach in order to make the character jump. So float jump force equals mass f dot square root minus 2 multiplied by gravity physics dot gravity. This is Unity's gravity. It is minus 9.81 multiplied with our jump height, and we need only the y, the y value of the gravity. We will make a jump height parameter up. So now rb.velocity equals vector shape.up multiplied with our jump force. Now let's go here. I will show you what I was talking about, jumping to the sky million times or something. He can jump, but if I have pressed it more than once, he will continue to jump even if he is in the air. We don't want that. So go make a public bubble is grounded. It doesn't need to be public, I just have to see everything in the inspector. I will not tweak it manually from the inspector. I just want to see it. So in here is grounded equals physics.checkCapsule, and this method checks if there any collider colliding with it with an start vector, which is our capsule's center, and end vector will be equal a new vector 3 takes the capsule bounds dot center dot x and z, and for the y it will take capsule dot bounds dot min dot y, capsule dot radius. Our checking radius is our capsule radius. You can multiply this by something like 0.9 or something if you don't want it to jump on walls. If you want, it is completely up to you. Now let's make ground layers that we can walk on. Let's assign it down there. Now go down and check if we are grounded beside the checking for the spacebar or the jump button, which is spacebar. We don't need to jump while we are crouching, it will be really weird. So we need to check if move ID is bigger than 0.5 means not crouching, standing. So here I have a ground layer set up. You can make your own layer. Here layer ground, and I have my ground plane set it to the layer ground. You can add a new layer by simply click the layers drop down and add layer, type whatever you want. Now hit play and you'll notice when we jump, as soon as we leave the ground we cannot jump again. We can only jump once when we are on the ground, and if we are crouching we cannot jump, as you are seeing. We can rotate with the camera, do everything. Now let's add jumping animations. This is a really hard operation. It is just annoying. Let's go to Invector again and make some jumping animations. Make an empty one, jump start. And duplicate it 2 more times, one for falling and one for landing. Here assign land soft, call it land. Here assign falling, call it falling or fall. Now let's make a transition from jump start to fall to land to exit. When we enter land and exit, we will go back to the entry, which is a default locomotion state. Now make a transition from locomotion to jump start or to the jump state machine, and one for falling. If we were walking and we are falling, we need to go falling immediately without waiting jump start or without pressing spacebar. Let's make a boolean is grounded. Now we don't need to have an exit time. Let's have a trigger jump. So that transition to jump start with our jump trigger. We will go to fall. If grounded is false, we will not wait the falling animation to finish. If grounded is true, we will go immediately to landing, and from landing to exit to locomotion. I have forgot to assign the boolean is grounded from the script. I will go and make it right now. You see, if grounded is false, we will go falling immediately. So in the animator section, animator.set bool, set the bool is grounded to the bool is grounded, just like that. Now he is standing. You can see when we leave the ground, he is falling too slowly. That is because of the root motion of the animator. I am moving the controller with root motion. So in order to fix this, we need to disable the root motion when we are flying, or simply bake the Y in the animation, and here in the script to the jump method, now he is falling correctly, but you will notice another error, which is when we are moving and start jumping, we cannot continue moving. You cannot just stop right in the middle of the air and fall perpendicularly to the ground. So we will disable the root motion of the animator if we are not in the ground. So in the jump method, we need to animator dot apply root motion to false when we press jump, and we will set the animator's apply root motion to be equal to animator.get bool, boolean called apply root motion inside of the animator. You can set bool, get bool, same to float and trigger, set float, get float, like that. So the animator's apply root motion will be equals to our boolean with the name apply root motion. Why I am doing this, you will know in a second. We need it to be true by default. So now we can use my great animator behavior. If you want to learn how to make this, go see my last video. Now we need to set the boolean apply root motion to true on start. So now when we leave the ground, the root motion does not change. because we need to set the apply root motion when we jump to false. Now the actual apply root motion boolean is determined by the boolean inside the animator. So we need to assign the boolean inside the animator in order to assign the real one in the animator component. If we try to assign it, the parameter will override it like you saw before. So now it will be working correctly. Now when we press space, apply root motion turns false, and when we enter the landing animation, it is become true, and that is a good way for the animator behavior. It is really a good use. We can see that we can move when we are in the air, but you will see that we can change our rotation while we are in the air. We really don't need that, don't want it. So what we will do is to modify our turn smooth in order to double it if we are on the air and leave it as is if we are on the ground. So let's make a float, get modified turn smooth. It will take a float, turn smooth. What we will do in this float, maybe we will check for if we are grounded, and if we are, grounded, if we are not grounded, means we are on the air. If you want to add a combat system to this script, definitely let me know in the comment. Maybe the turn smooth equals if we are grounded. If we are on the ground, it will be equal itself multiplied by 2, so it will take twice as long to rotate, and if not, it will be itself. Now let's give it a try. Let's check for it. If it is 0, then it will not make sense, so we will return the max value of this float. So if it is 0, return float.max value. Now when we calculating our rotation, instead of using turn smooth directly, we will use our get modified turn smooth and insert our turn smooth to it. So like that. Let's give it a quick try, hope it works. And I really think it is. What is wrong? Maybe let's make a float variable to control the amount of controlling the rotation while on the air. So let's make a public float air control percent. I have learned this from a really good channel from one named Sebastian, that channel named Sebastian League. He has a very good videos on game dev and game dev math. I would like to have it in a range between 0 and 1. So instead of multiplying it by 2, we will divide by our air control percent. So we will be dividing it by 1, and we need to check if we are grounded. We need to reverse it. So if we are grounded, it will be itself. If we are not, it will be the modified one. And we need to check if the air control percent is equal to 0. If it is, we will be dividing by 0, which will make nonsense, will make an error. You can divide anything by 0. Now it will be working, I hope. Give it a try, and it is. You can see while we are in the air, we cannot rotate that much. If we have increased it, we will be able to rotate freely while we are in the air. If it is 0.5, it will be something in between. If it is 0, there will not be any rotation at all when we are flying. As you see, leave it at 0.1. So I would like to have some headers to remind me what these variables are for, and to keep the script clean and clean from the inspector window. It will be looking good. So a header for when we are standing, other one for when we are crouching, other one for jumping. It will be really nice. Crouch, stand, and jump. That's all we will be doing today in our third person controller script. If you want a combat system, some enemies, anything, let me know in the comments, and I will do my best. Now it looks nice. Give it a final try, see if there is anything not working. We can walk around, crouch around, jump around, anything you want. Maybe I will be adding some combat system, some enemies, anything. If you guys have any idea that will improve this script, just tell me in the comment section, please. If you do not mind. Goodbye.